Hello everyone and welcome to the second part of Introduction to Linux and Virtualization. As promised, this is the second part of the video. In this section of the video, what I am actually going to do is I am going to introduce you and show you exactly how to download and set up a Linux environment. Okay, so what are we going to do with this? So if you guys remember, I displayed the agenda to you where I talked about installing Linux and setting up a virtual machine. So what we're actually going to do today is we are going to go through the steps of how to install Linux and how to set up a virtual machine. I'm going to take you through all of this step by step and answer any questions that you guys may have. If you have any questions, please post them in the forum for the course or in the YouTube link, and I myself will respond, or one of us will respond. But try to post your questions in the forum in Sakai, or post your questions in the YouTube link, and I will respond, or Mike will respond in the forum to get back to you on it. Okay, so let's take a look at how we do this. And I'm also going to have a follow-up lecture showing you exactly how to install uh, Linux and set up a virtual machine in the Mac OS X environment for the most part. All right. So let's take a look at how we can set this up. Okay. So for this course, what we're actually using is we're using VirtualBox. So to set up VirtualBox, all you essentially have to do is to use this link that I provided you with, which is also inside or on the course. If you don't have the course, you can actually just, type the link in like this, https://www.virtualbox.org/wiki/virtualbox. And once you open this up, okay, you're going to go to the VirtualBox page that is going to look like this environment right here. All right. So once you have this, you're going to go to Downloads. Okay. Upon going to Downloads, you're going to have to decide and specify what type of machine you currently have. Do you have a Windows host, an OS X host, or a Linux distribution? Given that I am doing the first part or the second part of this lecture on a Windows machine, I am going to show you exactly how to set this up with the Windows host. When I use the OS X host for part 3 of the lecture, I will go through the steps of how to use the OS X host. So to do that, I'm going to click on the Windows host. It's going to ask me to save it. I'm going to click Save, and it's going to download VirtualBox for me. There are a few steps that you want to make sure you pay very, very close attention to, because what we're going to do after we download and set up VirtualBox is we're also going to install and set up the extension pack, right? The extension pack is critical in order for us to have full functionality of the VirtualBox. So once it's there, you're going to click Run. Okay. When you click Run, you're going to get this box that's going to pop up here, and you're going to click Next. And you're going to specify exactly how you would like to download and set it up. You're just going to click Next, Next all the way through until you completely have VirtualBox downloaded. Given that I already have Linux on my computer, I am unable to re-download it. I would have to remove it to kind of go through the steps. Just click Next, Next, Finish, and install the whole operating system in its full functionality. Okay. So once you have set up VirtualBox, you will get this environment here. It's going to say Oracle VM VirtualBox Manager. So you're going to have the VirtualBox Manager where you can essentially come in and download a lot of unique and cool things that you want to set up. So you'll be able to go to File. You'll see that you have preferences. You can import appliances, export appliances, go to the Virtual Media Manager, look at your network operations, all of which we will go over. Check for updates, reset all warnings, or exit the machine completely. In the machine section, you can add a new machine. You can create a new machine. You can add a machine. You can specify the settings. You can click Show to show what kind of setups you have. You can pause your machine, reset it, or close it, or simply show the log of the previous machines that you have. If you clicked on Show the log, here is what it will look like. Okay. We also have the Help section where you could go to the VirtualBox website and it will help you. You could check out the VirtualBox tracker, which tracking your VirtualBox to specify what's going on. You also have the VirtualBox forums where you can actually go in and see what are some of the topics that people are asking questions about, where you can actually answer them. And one of them here is the VirtualBox on Mac OS X. Okay, and we're going to go through all of this as we configure and set this up. Then you have the settings. So in your settings, you can specify how you want the settings to be set up for your environment. Okay, so let's say I have this VirtualBox, it's up and running, and I have no operating system on it, right? It's a blank VirtualBox, and I can't really tell exactly what's going on here in it. So let's take a look at what that will look like. All right, but before we do that, again, I'm going to click Finish. Again, once you're done, you click Finish, then your VirtualBox will be all set for you to download. Again, I was not able to click Next because I already have VirtualBox set up on my computer. Again, if you want to set up another virtual environment, also known as VMware Workstation, right? VirtualBox is a free, okay, virtual software. So it's a free virtual software that you can download at any time, okay? VMware is not free, okay? You will have to pay for it. However, you can set up and download the trial version of VMware if you choose to do so, okay? So in order to actually download and set up VMware, all right, this is definitely not the right link. We're going to go to the VMware store to set this up. So what we're going to do is we're simply going to bring back up our virtual system here, and we're going to go to Google. We're going to go to google.com, and we're simply going to write VMware. Okay, and what that's going to do is it's going to take us to the virtual VMware website. From here, we're going to scroll down. We're going to go to Downloads. Okay, and then we're going to see all of VMware's products. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and actually add it to this for us to be able to see. Okay, so https my.vmware.com/web/VMware downloads. Okay, again, these are both virtual softwares, but for this course we're using VirtualBox, but I'm showing you a second option in case you prefer to use the VMware platform as practice. Okay, so from here you can come in, you can download all different types of flavors that VMware has to offer. Okay, you can download VMware Workstation, Data Center and Cloud, Infrastructure and Operations, Network and Security, Application Management, Infrastructure as a Service, Application Platform, or you can download the Desktop End User Computing. Our VirtualBox is a desktop end user computing platform. So for you, if you want to use the VMware, you would be looking for a VMware Workstation of some sort. So you can download the product. The beauty about it is you can download it as a trial. So you would come in here, download a VMware Player, and you will notice that you have the trial section here that you can download if you choose to do so. So if you wanted to, you would just click Download Trial, and then it would bring you over to the latest VMware product that they have to offer, and you would specify which one you would like to download. Do you want to download the VMware Workstation Pro for Linux 64-bit, or do you want to download the VMware Workstation 12.5 Pro for Windows 64-bit? Okay. Again, this course we're only using the VirtualBox, so I'm really going to mainly focus on the VirtualBox because it is the free platform that we are going to be using because we don't have to pay for it. Okay, so, and I will go back and forth, and if you guys are interested, please post it in the forum or post a comment on the YouTube channel or a link, and I will gladly assist you and help you and show you how to do the same exact thing in your VMware if you choose to use that route instead. Okay, so once we have our platform ready, okay, so here's our VirtualBox. It's up and running and ready to go. But right now we have a few issues, right? And that is that we don't really have any virtual machines currently up in our system, right? So I pre-downloaded this so you can kind of see exactly what it is that's going on. So here we have our virtual platform that we're using, VirtualBox. However, we don't have any Linux operating systems currently that we can use as of right now, right? So how do I know where to go and get a Linux ISO? Okay, the beauty about most Linux ISOs, as I stated in the previous lecture, is most of them are free. So you can actually use one of these links here that I provided you with, and you can actually download any one of the Linux environments that you choose to use. For the case of our course, we're actually using the Ubuntu-Linux ISO. Okay, so you could decide if you wanted to use the Kali Linux, the Debian Linux, the Ubuntu Linux, or the Fedora Linux. I know some of you ran into an issue where the Ubuntu Linux ISO we provided you with did not work properly. That is okay. All you have to do is actually use one of these links and you will be able to download any of the Linux environments here. Okay, in this case, and they will both work, all of them will work for the course. So all you have to do is click on the link, open hyperlink, okay, and it will automatically come here to this section for you. So this is the Ubuntu site. All right, and what we're going to do is I'm actually going to take you through how to download the ISO form. If you wanted to do, let's say, Kali instead, again, same philosophy, okay, only difference here, okay, you're going to come here, you're going to specify which one you would like to download. If you don't want to use the Kali or the Ubuntu, you want to use the Debian, I'm going to open the Debian link here as well and walk you through how to download them. Let's say you wanted to use Fedora instead, okay, open hyperlink, and you can specify which one you would like to use. Let's start with the Ubuntu Linux because that is the one that we're going to be using for this course. So how do I download this? To download Ubuntu, all you have to do is follow the simple guide. So we're going to click on Ubuntu Desktop, okay, because that's what we are looking for. We're not using Server, Cloud, or Kylin, so we're going to click on Ubuntu Desktop. Then it's going to come and it's going to say here are the basic recommended requirements that you want to make sure that your machine have before you download and set up Ubuntu. You want to have at least a 2 gigahertz dual core processor or better. You want to have at least 2 gigabytes of system memory that is free and available to use without harming your computer. You want to have at least 25 gigabytes of free hard drive space, either a DVD or a USB port for the installer media. You will not need this because we're using the ISO, and internet access is always helpful. Okay, so once you are here, this is the latest version. I'm going to click download. Okay, and you can specify what type of Linux you want. It is actually free. The reason you see that there's a cost here associated with the Linux environment is because it's adding a lot of customization that we really don't need. So all you have to do is actually move all of these down to 0. Okay, and you will be able to go ahead and proceed to your download. Okay, so we're going to continue to the download. Okay, and then your download should start automatically. Okay, if it doesn't start automatically, you can simply click on download now and you will have access to it. Okay, so in my case, it's searching, so it didn't automatically start. That's perfectly fine. I'm just going to click download, this little download button, and as you can tell, it's opening up. Okay, so I'm going to save it. And it's going to take its time to basically download right up here. This is the same exact ISO that we provided you a copy with. Once you have your ISO, we are now going to go through the process of actually creating and setting up this Linux environment. To do that, we're simply going to open up our VirtualBox. So here's my VirtualBox. So how do I add this Linux environment into my VirtualBox? To do that, I'm simply going to click New, okay, and I'm going to type, and I'm going to call this Ubuntu Linux, okay. So I just titled it Ubuntu Linux, and it's going to say what version am I using. I'm going to leave it at the 64-bit. If you're using a 32-bit, specify that. I'm going to leave it at 64 for me, okay. If you're an expert, you can click on the expert mode and add a few functionalities, but given that this is an introductory section of the course, we are going to leave it at, we're not going to click on expert. Then I'm going to click next, and it's going to say, okay, how much memory do you want to add? I am going to I'll add 4 gigabytes, okay, 4 gigs. Again, 1025 megabytes is equivalent to 1 gig. So for me, I'm going to add 4 gigabytes because I have, I think, 64 gigabyte of RAM on my machine, okay? Then I'm going to click next, and then it's going to say, do you want to create a virtual hard disk now, or do you want to use an existing hard disk, okay? I'm going to say create a virtual hard disk because this is a clean first time installation, okay? So I want to make sure that I don't interfere it with anything. Then I'm going to click create. Then it's going to say, how do you want to create this virtual hard disk? I am going to specify and make it very clear that I would like to create a VDI, a VirtualBox Disk Image, because what I'm using to set this up is an ISO. Then I'm going to click next, okay? And it's going to say, how do you want your hard drive to be associated with this virtual machine? Do you want to have a fixed size, meaning do you want to specify how much hard drive or how much space that the machine should have? Okay, once you do that, it's fixed. You cannot increase it. For example, if I say that my Linux environment is going to have 100 gigabyte of hard drive space, if the files I'm adding goes above 100 gigabytes, I'm going to run into issues. So it's always a good idea to do dynamically, so that way it expands with the files that are being added. However, be mindful. If your host or your physical machine that you're using only has 250 gigabytes, you don't want to, allocate more than 100 because you want to make sure that your host still has enough room, that your virtual machine is not taking up all of the space from it. Then I'm going to click next. It's going to say, okay, how much space of the hard disk do you want to assign? You can assign up to 2 terabytes. I'll leave it at 10 gigabytes. Okay, so that's how much space is going to be assigned to my physical hard drive. Then I'm going to click create. Once I click create, okay, my Ubuntu-Linux is now created. Right? There are a few things that I can actually do here. So if I right click on this Ubuntu-Linux and go to settings, I can still make changes. Let's say I was like, oops, I assigned too much RAM to the Linux environment. I can actually switch that. The boot order, right now it's floppy, optical, hard disk, and network. If I want to have a network boot, I can put a check mark on the network boot. But if I don't want to change anything, I can leave it as is. The display, I'm like, oh, I didn't add enough memory to the display. I can actually come in here and add a little bit more memory to the display. And what that does is it enhances the graphics drastically of your Linux, right? Monitor count. If I have more than one monitor that I'm using on my workstation or my physical machine, and I want my virtual machine to be able to take advantage of that, I can specify more than one monitor, right? I can do 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 8 monitors. I'll leave it at 1 for now. My storage, I can specify if I want to add an extra hard drive or if I want to keep the current storage that I am using. Audio, what type of audio do I want to have added to my machine? My network, what type of network do I want? I'm going to do a whole lecture on the whole network aspect. Do I want it to be a NAT, bridge network, internal network, host-only network? I'll leave it as a NAT. Okay. My serial ports, what kind of ports do I want this machine to be able to connect to? The USB, what type of USB do I want this machine to be able to utilize? USB 2.0, 3.0, etc. Shared folders, what kind of folders would I like to share with this virtual machine? I'm going to click OK. All right, and now I'm going to turn on my machine and I'm going to attach the ISO to the machine so it can boot from that ISO. So I'm going to click Start to turn on my virtual machine. Okay, and once I click on Start, what's going to happen is the following. I am going to get, okay, the following pop-up screen that is going to show. So I want to make sure that I show you guys the screen that is going to show up. You're going to get a picture of this screen right here. It's going to say select the startup disk, meaning please select a virtual optical disk file or a physical optical drive containing the disk to start your virtual machine. This is where I'm going to navigate to my folder and I am going to select my Ubuntu ISO. Okay, so I'm going to click on it. Then I'm going to click Start. and it's going to start my virtual machine for me. You want to make sure you specify exactly where your ISO was. Remember, we downloaded that earlier from the Ubuntu website, and I put it in a folder, so I pointed my machine to it. So what language do I want my VM to be in? I'm saying English. Okay. Do I want to try Ubuntu without installing, or do I want to install Ubuntu? Okay, so for the sake of now, we're going to install Ubuntu. Okay, and then it's going to go through the process of setting up and installing Ubuntu for us. This process takes a little while, so I am probably going to fast forward some of it to the video so you're not sitting here and being bored watching me download and setting up the Linux. Okay, but there are some steps that I have to make sure that I take you through. Okay, so right now here is my Ubuntu environment taking effect. Okay, so it's the installation process. It's saying welcome. What language would I like to use? I'm going to say English, and I'm going to continue. Okay, and then it's going to start to download for me in English. And then it's going to say, do you want to download updates while installing Ubuntu, or do you want to install a third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi adapter? You can click on those if you want. So it's going to download the updates automatically and install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi hardware enhancement. So you could check on these. For the sake of this download, I'm not going to do it because it takes a little bit longer when I put a check mark on these. So I'm going to click continue. So now it's saying, do you want to erase your current hard drive to install Ubuntu from scratch? Yes, we want to do that. So we're going to keep the erase disk and install Ubuntu selected. So what it's basically saying is it's going to install Ubuntu on the hard drive we just assigned 10 gigabytes to, or whatever you assign to it. If you did 10, 20, 30, whatever the case may be. I'm going to click install now. Okay. Then it's going to say if you continue, it's going to erase your hard drive and Ubuntu is going to be installed. I'm going to click continue because that's exactly what I would like to do. Where are you? Again, what part of the United States are you in? What part of Europe? What part of Asia? What part of Africa? What part of South America? Given that I am in the United States, I'm going to specify New York because that is what matches the time of the area that I am currently in. I'm going to click continue. Then it's going to say, okay, do you want to use the UK's English or US? I prefer the US's English. So I'm going to click on the US English, double click on it. And then it's going to say, what name will you like to give your machine? I'm going to give it CSF 102, okay, because that is the name and title of the course. And then I'm going to give it a password. Remember, passwords and everything in Linux is case sensitive, so you want to be mindful of how you set this up. So I'm going to give my little password here. Make sure you remember your password, okay? And then I'm going to go down here and it's going to start installing. So once you've done all that, you simply click next and your Ubuntu is going to download, install, and set itself up for you. Okay, so this is the process that your VirtualBox will take to installing Ubuntu for you. Okay, and once this process is all set and done, okay, you will basically be re-navigated over to a screen demonstrating exactly what it should look like. And you're going to see some of the updates, some of the new features show up. So if you click through, you could see some of the things that Linux does. It's Ubuntu plus LXDE, which is Lubuntu. So Lubuntu is based on the LXDE desktop environment, a faster performing and energy saving desktop. So it's basically telling you the benefits of Ubuntu. Then it shows you the browser-based benefits that you have, create and edit documents. So these are all the cool things. You can enjoy music and videos. So these are all the cool things you can enjoy on your Linux environment. You can download software with ease on this, and you can even use the help section. And then it ends with saying thank you for choosing Ubuntu. So what does this look like when we are done? So once you're done with this, okay, here is what your screen will actually look like. So now we can log in. So I'm going to put my password in, okay? And I am now logged in to my Linux environment, okay? And that is all there is to downloading Linux. And now I can go to Preferences, I can go to System Tools, open up my terminal, all right? If I don't want the terminal, I can open up a web browser, so I can go online, use Firefox, all right? All right, when Firefox opens, I can go to youtube.com. I can watch a YouTube video if I want to watch a YouTube video. So I can pretty much do any cool thing that a regular Windows machine can do. All right, we're going to spend some time going through Linux and learning all about the basics of Linux and what it has to offer. So this is essentially my introduction to installing and setting up a virtual machine. So I will do another lecture showing you how to do this same exact step that we took on VMware. Okay, but for the purpose of this course, given that we're using VirtualBox, I've created this lecture just to show you guys how to create this environment on a VirtualBox environment. Again, if you wanted to use one of the other Linux environments that I showed you, whether you wanted to do Kali, Debian, Fedora, or any of the other Linux environments, you can actually go ahead and do that as well. And it's the same exact step. Download the ISO, create a new virtual machine, point to that ISO, download and set up your machine, and you will be all set to go. Again, thank you for watching this lecture. I hope you learned and understood how to set up a virtual machine and how to install a Linux environment. If you have any questions, please post them to the forum or comment or subscribe for the channel or post a comment on the YouTube video or in the forum, and we will gladly get back to you as fast as we can. Again, thank you for joining us for part 2 of Introduction to Linux and Virtualization. Again, please tune in next time for part 3 so we can continue learning about this. Thank you.